What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode in the Unleashed Potential Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Haji, as always, alongside the boys, Mr. Judgement, Elmi, and Hassan. How you guys doing?
Good.
How's your week been?
Been good, man. Yeah, regular week. Nothing. It's a week I've been planning for everything else. So I got like 2 trips coming end of this year.
Nice.
2 trips.
Trips.
Oh, trips.
So I'll be gone in
what?
I'll be gone in a few weeks, and then I'll be gone end of the year, inshallah.
Sure. Any international ban or?
Yeah. I'll be going to Indonesia in February.
Bali.
Nice. Inshallah.
Yeah, Bali. Some other places here and there.
Yeah. They cannot be disclosed to the public. Correct?
Hit me out. What are you talking about? I'll give you the flight details.
Mashallah.
Jump on board, say what's up.
I envy. I actually was trying to plan for some travel plans this year, but got pushed back to next year, inshallah.
I'll be honest, other than weddings, I haven't took like a proper holiday in 2 years, 3 years?
I'm good in that sense. Alhamdulillah.
Do you know the one con when it comes to Southeast Asia that I feel like just outweighs a lot of the benefits that's in those countries?
What is it?
Is the humidity.
Yeah.
All year round, it's literally just humid, and it's
humid, but then at some points of the year, the humidity drops.
Yeah, but it's
to a bearable level. I get what you're saying.
It's still discouraging because what are you going to do? You're going to be outside and you're sweating already. Like, we're Muslims, we cover our aura, we can't be walking around bare-chested, whatever, and just in shorts, like the white people and Europeans and stuff, you know? So, like, it's very difficult to actually be in that country. The reason why you get away most of the time during summer here in this state or in this country is to get away from that heat. You want to go somewhere cooler.
A bit cooler, exactly.
And you go there and it's somewhere that's 31 degrees and it's humidity level of like 97%. And you're like, bro, how am I going to breathe?
Exactly.
You don't breathe, you eat. You eat the air, you don't breathe.
It's like the only thing you can do is just chill in the
water
pool.
Sports,
You know?
You have to get a villa with a pool.
That's it.
Or stay indoors.
With air conditioning.
And that's not what you want to do when you're on.
I might as well stay at home, free of charge.
Exactly. And it is like, it's close to us as well, and financially it's like, it's cheap. It's cheap.
You find like you force yourself to go out. Even though it's cheap and stuff like that, you find, and the humidity and stuff, you have to force yourself to go out. But even then, like, during the day, you've got to come back to your hotel, rest up for a couple of hours, shower again, and all of that.
What outweighs all that for me is, firstly, you've chosen that place as a destination.
And the time and dates.
And you're on holiday. So, like, any sort of inconvenience wouldn't affect you as much as if it was the same at home. You know what I mean? Like, you're there for 5-6 days.
I get it.
It's more bearable than if it was...
Because you know of the limited time span, right? You know you're going to be there for 5 days. Therefore, you're like, bro, I'm just going to tough it out. And that's what I mean. Like, you force yourself. But what I'm saying is, for the amount of money that you spend to go there and the fact that it's a trip, you might not do another trip for a couple more months, within the year. Or, so it's just getting away from your home country to another country like that, and then spending most of the time in the hotel.
But then most of us have been to Malaysia, Bali, Indonesia, a lot of these countries. And me personally, like, the last time I went there was 2012. I haven't been back since, and it's not. I don't know if you guys might be a bit different, but you wouldn't go back every year.
No, so like it's alright.
That's the thing. So even us, like I went there twice. Okay, but the second time wasn't for a holiday. It was for
But even then,
business,
the time difference, like the length of time in between the 2 trips was quite substantial.
Yeah, it was. But like once I went back there, I was like, bro, I've done everything. I mean, it's the same. I should have just visited Malaysia or some of the other neighboring countries. That way I can tick it off the list.
Exactly.
But then I'm like, bro, it's Malaysia. It's literally similar to Bali. It's gonna have the same humidity, and then you start all over again.
And the same sort of things to do as well.
Yeah. You know what's weird is when like you've got, I've got some European mates that are like, bro, I'm gonna book a weekend getaway, especially now that it's the long weekend. They're like, I'm gonna book a weekend getaway. I'm like, oh man, where to? They're like, nah, I'm just booking a hotel down in town. So we're just staying there for a weekend. I'm like,
they do that a lot.
Bro, are you kidding me? You're telling me you're vacating your house to pay and stay at somewhere else in the same city?
Yeah.
Why do you
do the same things?
Why don't you just drive down? Why don't you just train down? Do something like what? Bro, it's just the idea of staying in a hotel, being pampered kind of thing. Yeah. It's just, I find that weird, bro.
I understand that a little bit, but it's not something I would ever do in the same city. At the very least,
3 hours, 4 hour drive
out of the city.
Yeah, like 2-3 hours.
A little trip where change the scenery.
Different.
Yeah.
The scenery is going to be different. Yeah. Whereas if I know I'm in the city, and like for us, we live 10-15 minutes away from the city from each direction. Like I'm in the south, you guys live in the north. 10-15 minutes. Some of you guys live even closer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
bro, it just doesn't make sense.
Same roads
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
You open the windows, the same place.
Yeah, yeah. And especially like for us, when you try to get food, like you gotta find halal food.
Yeah.
So like you still go into the same restaurants to eat.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you said, vacating your house, which you're paying rent for.
Yeah.
To go pay somewhere else.
That's it.
But what about you, Elmi? You got any travels this year?
Nah, bro.
No travels planned?
No travels, man.
Next year?
Elmi's working.
Inshallah, bro. Inshallah, man.
Inshallah. Next year. Next year we're gonna.
The passport's still pristine, clean.
Yeah. No stamps on that.
No stamps, nothing. Yeah.
You're
not even creased.
No signature yet.
Elmi might be the only one that actually qualifies to have a go away party. You know how all these people have like a going out.
Yeah.
I think for Elmi we're gonna throw him.
I'm gonna tell you guys, bro. I'm just gonna dip, man.
And somehow we'll find out. We're gonna throw you a party.
He has to start by getting the hotel in the city, then the 3 hours drive. Then he can leave.
We gotta work him up little by little. Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. But if you were to go, where would be the first place on your list? Just off the top of your head.
I'll go Umrah, bro.
MashaAllah.
That's
good.
Umrah Hajj, inshallah. That's definitely
a plan.
May Allah make it easy for all of us, inshallah, to go at least Umrah.
100%, bro.
Preferably during Ramadan.
Some Umrah packages, especially here, it's actually doable, man.
It is.
It's doable, bro.
And considering like the amount that we spend on other holidays and going like when you go to Europe, like Umrah is a lot cheaper than go to Europe for 3, 4, 5 weeks. And the thing is, you would do that easily, but then I don't know, Umrah.
There's some Umrah trips which allow you to sort of detour to other countries along the way. So you stop by Dubai for a couple of days. You stop by, Turkey, Jordan, Turkey, and things like that. So I don't know. If I was to do Umrah, man, I'd do that.
Definitely make a holiday out of it.
Like,
make it for the flights. Make a holiday.
Not only that, but like Sheikh Yahya Ibrahim and them, they do all these other tours with the Umrah packages. So after the Umrah, like he was giving
flying every month, bro.
Like what he did, like what Yahya Ibrahim did was he did this tour, I think, around Jordan, all these other little cities around that vicinity. Like he was giving the Bukhari tour, like where Bukhara, I think somewhere. Is it Iran?
Iraq.
Iraq. Bukhara, where Imam Bukhari is from, and like where he actually learned and all that stuff, and giving some of the lessons that he taught at some of the places that he taught. And mashallah, it's really nice.
But people rather go pay to see the Fir'aun and the pyramid, and you know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't mind going, to Egypt and stuff like that. Yeah, of course, for the right reasons, obviously, But it's also like a miracle of Allah to actually see Fir'aun and it being preserved like that, So
people go there just to awe at it and take pictures, and you know what I mean. They don't really think about what's behind it.
Take the lesson.
I'll tell you the truth. Like, I feel like 2 countries that have been overdone this year would be Morocco and Turkey.
Morocco.
So many people on my snaps or Instagrams or whatever,
If I see the primary colors in one photo again.
Okay, Morocco. What happened
it's like you've been there without being there.
Yeah, I'm like, you've taken the excitement out of it,
It's pretty much done. Speaking of that, I've got a friend that I've worked with, who's in Turkey right now. I think last night or the night before he was watching the Galatasaray derby. So Turkey's been overdone. For me, I crossed those 2 places off my list for a while. Let the hype die down, and then I'll go, inshallah.
I think a couple of years before that was like the UK. Everybody was in the UK for a while,
before the knife crimes and everything. That's what it was.
And then they just switched it up. I'm like, okay,
mashallah. Let's
get into the topic.
Man.
We completely took a different path.
I don't think we haven't seen each other for a while. So the whole week. So
good for the viewers to join in on our normal conversation. But without further ado, let's get into the topic today. It's a topic that, in some way, shape, or form, is relevant to all of us. At different levels, different extents, to different degrees, and it is judgment, and not letting judgment dictate your life, right? But having said that, it doesn't mean you completely negate any opinion or advice that's given to you without taking it into judgment. A lot of people don't excel or don't perform or don't chase after certain things or don't do certain things, act certain ways that they would normally do for fear of judgment. Is that a topic that relates to you guys, or that you guys find?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you're looking at black people here, firstly, and Muslims, secondly. Exactly. You know? But like, just on a human level, if you think about it, everybody has this desire within them to be liked by everybody.
Yeah.
Right? And even though it's unfortunate, it's there. Everybody wants, companionship. Yeah. It's one of the needs that you need to be able to socialize or fit within a certain, social context, right? And to do that, sometimes you sacrifice who you are in order to be accepted by someone else. Yeah? So I know he's shaking his head. Is that because you don't agree, or?
Bro, like, it depends. Some people are different. Like me, honestly, I always be myself 100%. You know what I mean? But
100%, like not even a little degree where you would act a certain way or change a certain thing.
I can mix with most people, but you're not gonna please everyone, bro. In this dunya, man, you're gonna have enemies and you're gonna have people that like you, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You just have to blend in between, man. The ones that don't get along with you, alright, you don't get along. Don't take it to the heart. Go along. The ones that get with you.
No, but what I'm talking about is that, like, the desire to be needed, it forces you to behave a certain way. For example, if you're in a classroom and the fact that if the whole class sort of agrees on a certain thing, you wouldn't raise your hand and question that for fear of being judged by other people as like an outsider kind of thing. You know what I mean? If you don't agree with a certain thing, you're not going to... Even, for example, like asking for a raise at work. Like, that's something that most people won't do. Why? Because they feel like the boss is going to look at them a certain way.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about. Like, there's certain judgments that are valued and they force you to behave a certain way that's not. And unfortunately, that's just the way humans are, is that we try and adapt to the circumstances and situations.
Rather than make the situation...
We do both. Everyone judges and everyone is worried about how they're being judged. It's how it is. I think what you do is you look at who's judging you, why they're judging you, like, you know what I mean? And also, if you're judging other people, it's fine. But why are you judging that? Is it to improve yourself? Is it to help them? Or is it just like you're judging them and then you're going to move along? Like, just make that mental note and move along. I think when you push actions on, when you act on that judgment, that's when there's a problem. But you kind of need to judge. Like when you're raising kids, you're judging them. When you have students, teachers are judging them. You know what I mean? You got to look at what they do. You're doing this wrong. We got to fix it. You know what I mean? But when people look at the outcome of what you do, and then, because everyone makes mistakes and does stuff, and then just they perceive who you are, and they don't look at why you did it, what reason it was, or your whole background.
Coming to a conclusion.
Yeah, like you said with race, people look at your skin color and they have their conclusion in their mind, like this is what it is. That's when it's really wrong. That's when, because if you're getting judged by a businessman that's like your boss, that's really wealthy and he's trying to mentor you, you want him to judge you, you want him to be critical of you so you can improve. But if it's some dude on the side of the street that's never worked a day in his life asking for change and he's telling you how you should work, that should not be affecting you at all.
There's different levels,
you know.
That I think that's a defining factor of who is judging, and who you're being judged by. Like you said, if a business mentor is judging, and however harsh you may come down, you open and accept it. You know what I mean? But if it's somebody that you don't know, or that you don't find any benefit in their opinion or their judgment, then it's going to go negatively. But then that person that now judged you, that you did not ask for from judgment, how you react to that, whether you are able to say, okay, this judgment has been passed, or has been perceived, even though it's a stranger or somebody that I don't really value, is what has been said. Can I take anything out of it to improve myself? And if not, can I block it off so that it doesn't affect me? Because a lot of people...
I think the biggest key to it is it's not what they say, it's how they say it. Because someone can give you 100% facts that it's perfect. But if he's coming at you like, I'm better than you, I know everything, you're immediately not even listen to what he says. I'm blocking that off. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like how you say it is really important.
It is.
And who it's coming from, man.
Yeah.
Like if
no,
it's
but
a stranger,
have you ever had a stranger give you advice and be completely nice about it? Like you'd be like, "Oh, thank you." Like I don't know, but I think different people have different things. But for me, if you say it nicely, no matter who you are, it can be a complete stranger. If you say it completely nicely, and I will listen to what you say, and then based on what advice you gave, then I'll be like, oh no, I don't need to take that advice or whatever it is. You know, if it's a negative or positive.
Even if you're gonna refuse it, decline it politely.
Yeah, you decline it politely. But when some guy comes up to you that you don't know and is acting like he's your dad and trying to tell you what to do, like, nah, I'm not listening to you. It doesn't matter what you say, I'm not listening to you.
But then there's the other coin. The other side of the coin, is the fear of being judged.
Yeah.
So you guys are talking about actually being judged and then how to react to that. I'm talking about just the fear of being judged.
Before we get to that fear of being judged, I noticed that people will like try to fit people's judgments, like not because they're the right person, not because there's a business mentor or whatever it is. It's because that guy is popular. Have you seen that? Like the popular guy does something and judges you. He's just a regular friend, but because everyone else likes him, you're going to take that more to heart than,
it's going to carry more weight.
Closer friend, Yeah. So like, that's the scary part. Like when people, like we said, like who is judging you, be really honest. Like, why are you valuing this person's judgment?
Yeah. Because sometimes you really have to like you look at your life and you wonder, you're like, okay, the reason why I'm behaving like this is because like you're changing your whole life, you're changing your whole decisions and your outcomes and the things you want to do, your day-to-day activities. You're changing all of these things, the way you dress, the way you eat, all of that for fear of being judged by these people. At that point, you should stop, self-assess and say, why?
Yeah.
And then start to look at the reasons behind, and then start to look at, are these people as important as I hold them to be? Like to the level where they indirectly affect my...
I think everyone's got to do that constantly, because firstly, you don't get into that position when you know what your goals are. If I know exactly what I want and what I want to achieve, then it's easier for me not to take other people's advice that contradict that. But then it slowly chips away at you. You can go to work and your boss or your friends will just small comments every week. And then 1 week you're like, this is my goal, I want to do this. 2 weeks, you're like, I'm not so sure. 3 weeks, like, I don't want to do it. It's not like an instant, he said it, I'm done, It's that slowly chipping away. And you got to, like you said, catch yourself when you start thinking like that and go, okay, let me put their stuff aside first and try to figure out what I want and what my goals are.
Because you only have one shot in this life. Like, we're not here to please anybody but Allah, right? So as long as you're fulfilling that and you're working towards whatever you choose as your goals, and not compromising that for somebody else's satisfaction. And when I say somebody else, I mean people that do not matter or your actions do not immediately impact. Like certain people's judgment should hold weight, in my opinion. Your family, because your parents, they genuinely want the best for you. Your spouse, you're now building a life together. So if you're not taking into account, not necessarily just because your spouse judges you and tells you like, yo, this has got to change or this has got to change, that it's the right thing. Yeah. But you take into account, you take it through the right processes. Exactly. The right processes, you consider it, you take whatever you deem is good. And whatever you reject politely. As long as you're doing that, then you are living your life. You know what I mean? But when anybody is able to pass judgment or, like you said, throw small comments, and it alters who you are as a person, then you're losing yourself. For people that tomorrow, if anything happens to you, don't know you or don't really care. But if you do become successful, then you know what I mean, they're all there to ride the success with you. You know what I mean? And that's really anybody that doesn't really care about your true prosperity in good times. They're all there to eat. When you hit through the bad, brother, nobody's going to look at you twice. Everybody's got their own problems to deal with. But you have now put yourself in a position where you've lost your identity. You lost who you are. You lost your goals. You lost your aspirations. You lost your way, your career path. Whatever change you've made to try and make this person happy. And then tomorrow you have fallen out. That's it. Tomorrow this person doesn't really care. They're not there anymore. They're not there to be like, yo, okay, you're doing good, or whatever judgment that they were passing. And now you're
stuck.
You're stuck. You know what I mean? So that's really, really dangerous.
I think you can't stop judgment from people. You can't.
It's part of human nature.
But it's
you can't stop it.
It's how you deal with it that matters.
No, what I'm saying is like, yeah, you're right in saying that, how you deal with it. But even the fact that you're taking it in and taking it through the proper channels of processing it. That in itself, you at the forefront, you have to understand that judgment is going to happen.
Always.
We all do it. Other people are going to do it. Right? So the way you dress, the way you walk, whatever, it's going to be judged regardless. Right? And you can't stop that. You just have to understand that is a part of life. That is a part of human nature. It may not be the most perfect character of human nature, but it's there. It's part of, human nature. So you just have to understand that and keep that in the back of your mind and understand that, as you said, the judgment of Allah is the most important above anybody else.
That's what Tupac said, man.
People.
Only God can judge me.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that point there. I wouldn't bring that point up later, but you're saying?
Yeah. The other thing is, a lot of the times, what we think we are going to be judged on is usually projection kind of thing. Have you guys heard that? The idea of projection, where you judge other people on certain things, so therefore you think other people are judging you on those exact same things.
Yeah.
That's in most cases that's true.
Because think about it, you're a car guy, right? So
It took a while to process, man. Go back. What is that?
So the way you judge people automatically forces you to think that other people are judging you in that same way,
which leads to you ultimately having the fear of being judged. Because you think that you're already judging these people, thinking that they're going to judge you about those things. You get it? It's a cycle.
It's a long day, bro. It's just...
Fair enough. So that idea of projection is just being aware of that and just understanding that, sometimes they're not actually judging you for those things that you think they are.
Other things, different
that you've never even considered, that you are actually happy about. So
but also I wanted to look at when you're judging other people, because we all judge people as well, and when you judge other people, you got to take a second to stop and go, because really, if you're judging someone based on their clothes, especially if you don't know the person at all, right? Let's say it's not someone that you're trying to help or anything, it's just some stranger or whatever it is, and you judge them based on their clothes or whatever it is, that just shows your insecurities with yourself. Like, why are you judging someone you don't know about his shoes or his car or his income? Like, what are you insecure about? You're trying to put your failures and your insecurities on other people. And like you said, because of that, that's what you think they're judging you on. Because that's your failures you're projecting on other people. So when you catch yourself judging, it should be a lesson to yourself. Like, for you to stop and go, okay, why am I judging him based on this? Oh, okay, that's a problem with me, I got to fix.
I think something you should do, and it's a point that I will put out there as advice, is whatever you fear, whatever you're doing that you fear will be judged. Judge yourself on it first. Take a minute, look at it. Is this okay for me? Am I happy with it whichever way it goes? Is it a direction that I want to take? And if you can say yes to those questions and whatever other questions that you might need to ask in judging yourself on that matter, and you can honestly say, yes, I'm okay with it, then go ahead. As long as some of the important questions, again, does it go against my faith? Things that you stand for, things that your ultimate morals and values, whether you're a Muslim or not, does this go against my faith? Does this go against my beliefs, my character as a person? Is it something that's going to be detrimental to my honor, my dignity? Am I okay with having this out there? And if you can say yes, then like if you go through that process, I think it lessens the fear of that judgment that you have.
It does, but then taking that first step is usually the tough. Like, for example, say praying in public. For somebody who's never prayed in public, in front of I don't know, like a group of strangers that are non-Muslim, that don't know exactly what praying is and what it's all about. For someone, that fear of being judged by those people, it's crippling. Sometimes they won't, to the point where they will actually delay their salah until they get home, until they, and that happens. And it's something that's common, right? So until they actually break through that and actually pray for the first time, then they actually see that, look, I'm actually okay. I'm happy with it. I'm fine. Like,
and then you start to see other outcomes.
But is that exact one? I have a personal story about that at work. There was a guy that did the same thing. He wouldn't pray with us at work because someone made a comment and everything. And I didn't realize it was because of that. It was just like 3 weeks later, I'm like, why aren't you praying with us? And, because I was genuinely asking, like, hey, why don't you come pray with us? And when the first thing he said was, oh, so-and-so, so-and-so said this. That's when you as a friend should be stepping in and going, look, helping that person out, because like you said, it's crippling. There is actually something that people fear and stuff, and you got to be as a friend going, I know Haji, I know who he is, and he's acting different. Let me go speak to him, ask him why, like what's making the change. If that change is something that he wants and is good for him, then alhamdulillah, as a friend you help him out. If it's not, you got to be like, yo Haji, you got to kind of cut that out.
All comes down to mental state of mind, bro. You know, especially in this country, it's not easy, man. You go to the park and go pray. You just have to have it in your heart, bro. You know?
Yeah, but like you said, it's ups and downs. We got to stay together to help each other out.
Like people like that, like, it's very. You got to talk to them. Say, look, Eli's watching you. Who created that person that's talking rubbish about you? Eli created you. You know, just pray your salah.
Yeah, but like what I'm saying is you gotta get that conversation going. You gotta start that conversation.
And then change his mentality.
For that exact individual might be comfortable praying in public with a large number of people. Say Eid Salah or something like that. You know, even though there's a whole bunch of other. Exactly. So it's just understanding that when you're doing it alone, it's a lot tougher. And when you're doing it in a small number, it lessens the soft, but the blow. Still, but you know, it's still there because even when you're praying, then you're distracted. You're thinking, "Man, are these people looking at me?" Well, they're probably wondering. You know what I mean? Like it's crippling at times. You look at, for example, another Muslim one is like if there's a terrorist attack on the news. That's something each and every single Muslim has been through, and unfortunately, even the women of Islam, because they have the hijab, that's literally just it's bold and it's out there. It's out there, exactly. You know. And had each and every single hijabi decided to take their hijab off and not walk the streets for fear of being judged, you know, a lot of these young generations will not feel comfortable wearing it. Now it's at the level where it's being modeled as like something that's, you know, it's something beautiful. It's even though it was originally, but they just needed to combat that fear of being judged. And sometimes it's not just about being judged. It's being judged and then potentially abused, right? Verbally and physically. Exactly. So it's being, you know, sometimes you have to do it not just for yourself, but also for, you know, and others.
And the other thing would be speak to your closest people, you know, hey, this is something I want to do. And I fear that, you know, these are the possible outcomes. Like you said, like if I go through changes that are not my normal stuff and Jabbar picks on it, from that conversation, I'll be able to bring out whatever my fears out of my, you know what I mean? You'll be able to talk me through it. But don't just wait for somebody to pick up those changes. If you think, or if you do get judged on a certain thing and it really is bothering you, because like you said, some of the judgment can be crippling. If you think that it's gonna deter you, or you're forced in a box where you either gotta conform or you got no escape, then find somebody whose opinion you trust and who will give you honest and genuine advice and talk it out. And then sometimes just getting that reaffirmation that, yo, what you're doing isn't that bad, or it's not bad at all, gives you that push that you need. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just a different perspective.
Yeah. But like that brother, that Muslim brother, now that you had that conversation, he does pray with you guys, yeah? Yeah,
so because what it was is we have a bunch of departments and people different work at different times. So all I did is I spoke to all the other brothers and said, hey, can we find a time where it fits for all of us to come? And then that helped them out because like Omar Hassan said, when there's a group of people, it helps. And also I talked to the manager and then she found like a room, a quiet place. So he goes, if he's by himself or there's no one around, he can be isolated and just pray there, which helps him out as well.
It's weird, man. Sometimes this fear of judgment thing can like lead to extremes, man. Like it can lead to the point where I've seen people change, or heard of stories as well of people change their names simply because it perceives a certain, you know, connotation. And therefore, like for example, from Muhammad, they'll change it to Mo. Legally, legally. Like they'll change it to Mo just so that they can get a job, or just so that they can be perceived differently. And even like us being African, or you know, being black in this country and in this state. You know, just walking around, that in itself, you wonder sometimes how are these people treating me? How are they actually? What goes through their mind of actually? I don't know if you guys get that, but I wonder that. Like I'm walking down the street, I'm like, you see a European smiling at you, and then I'm like, is he genuinely smiling at me, or is he smiling because he wants to show that he's, you know, like there's nothing there, we're okay, you know? I'm like.
I work at a private hospital. There's a bunch of old white people, and they're giving you that stanky look. You're like 90. I don't know what's going on.
Like, you've been through so much.
But like the scariest part is not just that the legal change; they become that person. Because that's who you are. Your actions define who you are, and if you do it long enough, that's who you become. So it starts off as I'm gonna do this because I'm a little scared and whatever it is, and then it becomes this is who I am. This is what I do. And the people just change. Like I think we all have friends or know of people that are just completely different to who we were, and we knew that they were, like scared or trying to push this because of peer pressure or whatever it is, and now it's like no, they're the ones peer pressuring. They're the ones doing that because they completely changed, and it's scary.
And that changes all throughout the generations.
Let me tell you like something. Similar thing happened at work with Salah and stuff. Some of the boys used to pray here, there. Some of the boys never used to pray. And then Jum'ah as well, some of them want to take off. They said no, this and that. And then one day they came together. It was Muslims, and then they started praying. And now look, every Friday at work, there's a Jum'ah. There's at least 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 brothers come together and do a Jum'ah.
That's good.
The thing is, if you respect yourself, brother, people will respect you. Put yourself first, then the people come after that, bro. You know what I mean? Like the brothers at work, I don't work on Friday and stuff. They put the deen first, So, the managers and the upper managers and all that. So, like, these guys, they put their religion as a priority. And they respected that. You know what I mean? They put the religion before the
like you said, like if some are praying, some are not praying, they're doing different times. They're like, is it real? They started doubt like the reasons, the reasons behind it.
Even the ones that weren't praying were coming to pray, brother.
You see,
which is a good thing.
That's a good thing because when they see that unity, they're like, okay, no, this is real. This is their religion. This is what they need to do. Because if one person's come to you and going, oh no, I have to take Fridays off or this time to pray, and the other guy's like, nah, I'm just gonna work to get the extra money. Which one is the person's going to pick?
No, but that's not even it. Like, you should do it not just for yourself, but understand that potentially there could be other people that might benefit from your courage, right?
No, I'm saying don't go at it alone. In those situations, you don't go at it alone. You don't just go to your manager and go, I need this time to pray.
But like some people, before they get employed, they don't know the situation of the company, right? And so they have to express that in the interviews and say, look, if I do become successful, then,
I need these prayer times.
On Fridays, I need to attend, prayers. That's when the discussion happens, right? And it's a one-on-one, but the fact that you're courageous enough to actually say that thing.
A lot of people will just, for fear that they might not get the
and
job, just be like, I'll accept whatever, and then later on find out. But I want to bring up a point that Omer raised a little while ago. Only God can judge me, and we hear that very often, very loosely from a lot of people that try to defy judgment in their own way, saying only God can judge me.
Thug life, man.
It works in a sense, but I don't think that's completely accurate, and it's not a way that or a statement that should truly express the way you go about it.
No, but they changed the meaning of it because we're Muslims, and when they say only God can judge me, it's like you look at the whole deen, you look at the Sunnah, you look at the Quran. And if you're following that and you're doing that, you're taking care of your family, your friends, and doing all of that, then other people's opinion shouldn't matter to you. But people take that as in no human can judge me other than God. You see what I mean? So they don't take their parents' advice. They use that as a scapegoat to make their actions, you can't judge my actions now at all because you're not God. It's like it's cheat.
Exactly that, precisely with that meaning, and the only reason why I wanted to raise it is that is potentially, in my view, pretty dangerous when you completely disregard anybody and everybody's advice. And because judgment doesn't necessarily just come in as just judgment. It comes in forms of advice, nasiha. It comes in, I think you're heading in the wrong direction. Based on your actions, you should change this, or I think you should change this. And completely disregarding everybody's view, or not view, but opinion and advice, I think is really detrimental. Because at the end of the day, you don't grow alone. You learn from others. You get taught things. You vibe off people. We live in a society. So there will be judgments that are correct and accurate. And like you said, it depends on how it's communicated. But my advice to the viewers and the youth of our generation, and inshallah future generations, is do not completely disregard advice and judgments from the right people for the right reasons.
Not even that. Like when they say, you're absolutely right. But it's just the whole idea of only God can judge me. Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, do you want God to judge you right now? Like, are you ready to be judged?
Exactly.
Are you at that point where when you say only God can judge me, that literally means that
I've passed your judgment. I've passed the level of your judgment.
Exactly. Like I've ticked the box for approval from human beings. That now I'm at the level where only God can judge me. That's it. Yeah. Like, what about your own judgment as well? Do you feel you're that confident? No, man. Exactly. Yeah, God can judge you, but at the same time, human beings judge you as well. Yeah. Right?
And you should learn from the judgment and how to.
The Prophet ﷺ, he used to receive revelation, and he used to receive wahi to understand who certain people are, right? Because he had that knowledge of certain people's hearts, and they're from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? But we don't. We can only judge the outside, and that's the only thing that we have. You know, so
and that's the thing. On that note, just a small story where the Prophet ﷺ knew who were the hypocrites amongst his followers, his companions. And Umar bin Khattab, being the strong man he was, said, Ya Rasulullah, don't you know who the hypocrites are? Let's get rid of them. And Allah said, the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah did not send me to look at people's hearts, but their actions. You know what I mean? And that's how we go. We look at actions and not pass judgment, but advice. And your own, always with yourself first, and then that's how you work away around it. You know what I mean? So, as you said, nobody's at that level where they're ready for God's judgment. If you ask anybody today, and you ask them, "Are you ready to be judged by God?" I guarantee you, nobody's gonna say, I'm 100% confident. Even the most pious of the pious will tell you, I've got a long way to go. You know?
If so the pious man says that, he's not pious. Like, honestly,
delusional. That's what it is. And there was the story of also during the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab, of that one alcoholic. I think he was an old man or something like that. They used to drink in his old days or whatever, and he was an alcoholic, but he used to do it in his own home. And I think some of the other members in the community used to judge him on a regular basis. But then Umar ibn Khattab said, don't do that. Make dua for him and assist him and don't help him. Don't help the shaitan, you know, against your brother. So it's just about that as well. Like when you judge someone negatively, you know, chances are you're assisting the shaitan against your own brother.
Exactly.
So advise him, and advice can come in the way you say it.
Or the way your actions.
And through your actions as well. So a lot of the times the idea of, you're right, like judgment in itself is all encompassing. It's advice, right? It's a nice kind gesture. It's a kind way of looking at someone rather than, you know, like mean mugging them or something like that, you know? So it's all of that. So it's just making sure that you're approaching it with the right way. And whatever it is that you do, and you do it with the right intention and the right way, you get a reward for it.
And do it in private. Because I've seen people judge people in public.
That's
terrible. You're literally doing the worst thing to that person. No one wants to be judged in front of everybody.
Sometimes a different approach to just giving advice, like look at the person you're talking to or you're trying to address as well. If this person takes advice automatically in a defensive mode, then rather than telling them what's wrong with them, if they're not praying salah, then just be like, hey, let's go to the mosque today, you know, I'll pick you up, we'll go to Friday prayer, you know, or even
like let's go for lunch, we'll swing past the mosque first
on the way, you know what I mean?
Small steps.
Exactly, you know what I mean? Rather, because you look at the person, if this person is a person that as soon as you talk to them, there are people like that. As soon as you talk to them, go into defense mode, like, yo, it's none of your business kind of thing, you know? But if you're like, yo, let's hang out, and then on the way, you're like, yo, Maghrib is right around the corner.
Should we just quickly pray and then
quickly pass? 9 out of 10 times, they will feel in themselves not to say no, you know? Firstly, it's salah. Secondly, again, fear of that judgment, but for the positive now.
Whereas
they'll be like, yo, I don't want to be that person that doesn't pray. Well, what you do in your house, only you know, But when you're out, a lot of people that don't pray might pray, you know? And those 2-3 times that you
I've seen that so many times, man. Like they go out to an event, or they go out to a certain, you know, like invitation. Everybody gets up to pray. even if they don't have wudu, they're joining, right?
But then all it takes is that one time.
Yeah.
You know?
And that might be the only salah that they do during the day.
Exactly.
You know, and you've actually contributed to them doing one good deed.
You might not even know it.
Without knowing, that's right.
And regardless of the state of the action of that person, you still get the ajr for it too. You know what I mean? Like, whether this person had wudu or not, it's not your responsibility. But the fact that they did pray, you get a reward for it too. And the one time that you do take them to the mosque, like, they could hear a lecture that's going on, you know, and that could be how Allah guides them. And now you have become the source that Allah has guided this person through, you know, and the reward for that is miraculous.
I think even just us, like, that's judging other people and other people being scared of being judged. The idea of us judging ourselves as well. I remember, I don't know if you guys used to do this as well. Like, there was a time when I used to listen to a lot of music, right? And I'd pass the masjid, straight away the music goes down.
Oh yeah, that or the adhan comes on the phone.
Sometimes it's off. You're going home. The music is off or on low straight away.
What do you mean, bro?
I used to think I was the only one that used to do it, bro.
Like, even if the adhan comes on the phone, and say you're in the passenger seat, you automatically turn it off. If you're in the back, you'll tell the driver, shut it off. Yeah. Nobody's going to say nothing. The adhan is done. All right.
Back up. What do you mean? But why though? You know, like,
don't even turn it back
is it
on,
because you're being judged by Allah? Like, you're continuously being judged. And not even that. It's just the guilt. It's the guilt.
It's the guilt. Yeah. You're like, you know, like,
I've heard people say, turn off the adhan, the music is on, that's haram. I've literally heard that. I've heard someone say, turn the adhan off, there's music. There's music on, it's haram. They don't want the adhan playing the same time as the music.
Oh, mashallah.
Where's the priorities?
That's backwards.
But I'm talking about, like, the level that it can be. Like, it can be as low as that. To the point where you judge yourself like that. And sometimes it can be as harsh as judging yourself to the point where you're like, man, like, if you've got a certain disability, if you've got a certain, like, look to you, if you're missing something that other people have, if you're poor as opposed to, you know, being well off like somebody else, if you're riding a bike as opposed to actually having a car, you know, if you dropped out from high school and somebody else and you're finding a lot of people in your circle have actually graduated, but you've just got a basic job. That in itself, you judge yourself on a regular basis. And even then, that adds to your stress. It adds to your mental health. And it affects you. So you just got to be aware of that. And you got to be, I don't know, like, you got to start to look into it and say, am I judging myself too harsh? Like, am I actually doing okay for now?
Also, people overload themselves with the judgment. Like, they'll have 6-7 things that they dislike about themselves, that they judge themselves about, and they don't know which one to tackle. And then that just keeps snowballing.
But then that's not judging yourself fairly as well. Because when you do judge yourself and you look at yourself, you list out all the negatives.
You're judging, like what he said, you're judging based on other people's perception. Like, they went to high school. Like, what about college? What about uni? You know what I mean? Some people didn't even go to school. Like, you're not judging. You know what I mean?
So the advice would be, look at the positives that are going on for you.
And don't judge yourself too harsh. But use that as a form of motivation rather than as a way to beat yourself up. You know, don't use that as a beating stick.
Because once you fall in that spiral, that's when depression and everything else kicks in. I mean, it's all pretty much a cycle. You know.
Down that drain.
If you judge yourself and you don't find a reason to, like I said, motivation, a pathway out of that judgment, then you fall into the trap of depression. And that leads down a dark road.
So whichever end you are on the spectrum, if you're at the extreme end where you're judging yourself way too harsh that it's becoming negative, or you're at the low end where you're turning off the music, you know, like, use either one of them as a means to motivate yourself to do better. If you're turning it off during the masajid, try turning it off during the whole trip. You know, and slowly it'll be, you know, turning it off full time and just turning on Unleashed Potential, you know, instead of. Sorry, I had to throw that out.
Segue, you know, I'm judging you on that one.
That's a little tick right there.
I had to, man. It had to be done.
I think that concludes our discussion very nicely. Very, very beautiful ending point right there. Thank you guys for tuning in, and inshallah, catch you guys next week.